What's good, everybody, and welcome to Body Bag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Broke Rider Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
I don't know what is going on right now. I'm utterly delirious right now. I am on 2 hours of sleep. So prepare in advance for a very... If I go off, into my own world for like a minute, or I can't get... Just bear with me, please.
We got it.
Oh my goodness, this review has been... It's been a long time coming. I think I was saying this even in season 2 that I've been wanting to review Idle Hands.
Yeah, you've been saying it for a while.
Now, the closer that we came to me having to rewatch it, I kind of did and I didn't want to watch and review it because this movie came out in 1999. I saw this movie in 1999, I would have been 8, I think.
Yeah, 7, 8, yeah.
8 years old, so probably wasn't able to kind of really see it when I was 8. So I probably didn't see it until a couple years later, probably when I was around like 13-ish.
Yeah, I want to say first time I seen it was probably in like the mid 2000s.
And I had fond memories of it. I remember coming home, and it was in the middle of the summer when I first saw it, when you would be flipping through the channels, and that was on, and I just remember it fondly.
Yeah, like TNT or something like that, randomly.
Yeah, so I have a very fond memory of that movie. So I didn't want to run the risk of like me not liking it anymore, or me going, man, this movie was annoying, or it's not as cool as I thought. Maybe I shouldn't watch it and just let it stay as a good memory.
See, that's what happened to me when I rewatch it. I'm like, I feel like this movie wasn't as good as I remember it being.
I actually still kind of love it. And don't get me wrong though. All right, so we're gonna have probably a couple of differing opinions, but we might end up somewhere somewhat in the middle. Yeah. But I think a lot of people who are like into horror also have fond memories of Idle Hands. It is very much a time capsule of the 90s as well.
Yes, it's very much a cult classic movie. Like, it does have its cult following now.
As per usual, this is spoiler talk, and we'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And trying to be a little more organized this season, so at the beginning of each of the movie reviews, I'll start off with a one-sentence sum-up. If you just want the bare bones, short, sweet, to the point, a high school slacker gets his hand possessed by the devil, and it goes on a killing spree. That's the
premise of the movie. Yeah,
that's the movie. But it's also a stoner movie, and it's also a comedy, very American Pie-ish in its it just like that era of humor.
Yes, but I mean the main character is a lazy stoner, so for the movie it plays off like the saying that the idle hands are the devil's playthings.
Yes,
kind of that.
And also, before we get into the plot, you only need to really know just a handful of characters. Just because we throw names around whenever we're talking, so we'll just tell from now on we're going to try to have the names up front of just the main people that you need to know.
All right, so you got Anton Tobias, main character, lazy stoner.
Now,
Molly is his love interest, played by Jessica Alba.
Now, I didn't know, and I didn't think about it until like a minute before we started recording. I wonder if they called him Anton as a little nod to Anton LaVey, the founder of the Satan Church.
Maybe.
I didn't think about it until he wrote the Satan's Bible or something like that. And
yeah.
So I was wondering if that's why they call the main character is Anton, since his hand gets possessed by the devil.
Could be, yeah.
Anyway.
And then you got Anton's two friends, Nub and Mick.
Mick and Pnub.
Yeah, Pnub, yeah.
And you have Debbie, a member of a secret order meant to basically take down the devil and evil and whatnot.
Who's been tracking down
yeah,
people who's been getting possessed. So
there's been like an uptick in murders like around the country of like identical like serial murders that have gone like, well, they haven't gone unsolved, but they're just kind of mysteriously crop up.
Yeah.
And she's like trying to find out, all right, she knows something's up, the secret order. Now, starting from the beginning, it just starts off with a married couple sitting in bed. Now, the first 10 minutes of a movie often sets the tone for what, the kind of stuff that we're going to be in for, right? So
Yeah.
the first 10 minutes, it's Fred Willard who plays, this is Tobias's mom and dad, Anton's mom
Yeah.
and dad. They're sitting in bed. This is the first, now as much as I say I did like this movie, there was a whole lot of stuff that I was pointing out, like little things that were like, huh? When they were coming
Yeah.
up. For instance, they're in bed. She says that she hears a noise coming from downstairs, but she's looking up towards the attic.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Like,
Yeah,
oh no, noise from downstairs. So I'm gonna stare up at the ceiling.
is she? That was a very weird. Now,
Mannerism by the actress.
there's a lot of little things like that in the movie. Little things that it's like I don't know if I would have noticed them had I not been spending the last 4 seasons doing nothing but reviewing movies.
Yeah.
That maybe I'm just starting to become like, well, that's a little weird. Why would she do that for?
Yeah, that's a weird choice, but all right.
So she hears something. Dad goes downstairs. Dad gets offed. Mom goes downstairs, see what's going on. Runs upstairs, gets offed. What killed her? Don't know yet. And how did they die? Not entirely sure.
Yep. It just cuts to the next morning when
Our
Anton
hero.
wakes up. Yeah.
Our hero,
hero.
ladies and gentlemen. Anton, who is all right, so a lot of 90s movies, 90s and 2000, well, 90s was definitely the era of like the high school slacker.
Yeah.
High school and college slacker in movies, whether it be horror or just, like I said, movies like American Pie or what have you.
See, I think I've grown out of enjoying that kind of comedy after watching this movie. Because I found Anton quite annoying. Like,
I,
he
no,
lazy son of a bitch.
now I'm gonna say, well, that's funny because they introduce us to Anton, and we have to be. The movie has to show us that this kid is a slacker. So how is this kid gonna? How are we gonna do? The dude is chilling out on the couch, eating Lucky Charms, watching TV, scratching his balls. Trying to paint him as a slacker. Realistically, though, that's me on my days off. I ain't gonna lie, and at least he had a ball scratcher. I didn't. I don't even have a tool. And with those kind of comedies, I'm kind of the same way. Although I have to be in the right mood for it. And I think the fact that this takes place in the 90s lulls me with nostalgia, so that I kind of overlook it. So I'll claim bias. Any movie that is very, very 90s like this, or just that's a time capsule of its period, I was born in the 90s, so I'm going to, I was born in the late 1900s for all you asshole Gen Z kids who put it that way. But yeah, I will tend to kind of turn a blind eye to certain things because it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So that's Anton. Okay.
Yeah, but it was his laziness that kind of annoyed me. It's his lack of awareness.
Oh yeah, because
there's obvious signs that a murder happened in his kitchen, and he's just oblivious.
But I think that makes for I think that'll make for a funnier reveal later when he finally starts like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I will say
I get what they were going for, but yeah.
Now you might have found him a little bit annoying, but I will say the actor was putting a lot of effort into this role. That dude was, I'll put a lot of.
Oh yeah, because
he threw himself into like the physical comedy.
Yeah.
And just running around and the dude was like putting in some work. I'll say that.
Yeah, Devin Sawa. I never know how to pronounce the last name. I like his work. Like he did a lot of stuff in the 90s. Yeah,
I was about to say he was
really
like
good.
your typical 90s. He's that. The way he looks is like that typical 90s, either slacker or he could pass for skater boy or very Aaron Carter-y from the 90s back in the day.
Exactly. Yeah, he was, in case you don't know who we're talking about, he was the star in the first Final Destination.
You look at him and you go, oh, that's 90s. You just take 90s, a look at him.
Yeah.
He's also a stoner, too.
Yeah.
And he's out of weed. So he calls up his friend, Panub, and Panub's like, well, get your lazy ass over here. I'll hook you up. Or he didn't say I'll hook you up. He just said, well, get your lazy ass over here. Yeah. And this is where I thought it was funny because it's a 3-group friendship of these stoner slackers, basically.
Yeah.
And I just think it's funny because back in 1999, back when like smoking weed meant you were a slacker. Like the surefire way to tell if this kid's a slacker is that he had to be smoking weed. And now potheads can roam the streets with their vape pens and edibles.
Yeah, pot's definitely looked on a lot differently now than it was in 1999.
Yeah, like in those movies back in the night, like they always had a stash there, and they always made bongs out of everything.
Yes.
Like
Like he was smoking pot out of his inhaler.
yeah, that he always kept a an inhaler around his neck, and it always has a little bit of weed inside, so he could toke a little bit. And if anybody asks, he just says, "Oh, it's my inhaler."
Yeah.
So he goes to his friends, Penub Mix Place. They're like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, can you hook me up?" And they're like, "We don't got any weed." Now this is Seth Green, and I don't remember the other guy's name.
No, I could like I've seen that actor before. I just don't know who he is. Yeah.
Now, what did you think of Mick and Penub in regards to as opposed to Anton?
Uh, I enjoyed him a little bit more, but
The jokes were very hit or miss.
yes, it depends. Sometimes some of the things they said were actually pretty funny, and other times
Some
like, oh yeah,
some of the stuff, yes, because they, they're stoners, so they're going to be they're just as oblivious. All right, because
yeah.
the reason why Dave says that Anton's oblivious is because when he goes downstairs in the morning to make breakfast, there's clear sign he's making a sandwich and doesn't realize there's blood all over the knife.
He's using yeah.
And he doesn't realize there's like a bloody handprint on the side, or that his cat is eating human flesh off in the corner. That kind of, he's like watching TV. And I will, man, I gotta say again, big shout out to the night. I love the fact that back in the day we had music videos on TV.
Yeah, I don't even know what's on MTV nowadays. 'Cause I don't think they play music videos anymore.
Last time I think I put on MTV was, I think Beavis and Butthead was making a return, and they were like making fun of shows like Jersey Shore and stuff like that.
I honestly think MTV nowadays is like 22 hours of like playing ridiculousness reruns, and then like a new show here or there, like Are You the One or something like that.
No, it is just 24 hours of ridiculousness.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, it's a decent show to watch every now and then, but
I can only hang in for like
an episode, maybe two.
Half an episode, maybe sometimes. Just, yeah, I love gag shows like that, but it's just not for me. Not that show anyway. But I'm not here to dog on ridiculousness.
Yeah.
I'm
MTV,
here.
but
I'm just here to give a middle finger to our the current state of TV because we had music videos back in the day.
yeah, I remember getting ready for school watching music videos.
Anyway, at this point, we get introduced to the leading actress, who I did not know was Jessica Alba, the girl next door, if you will, for Anton. He's over at Mick and Penub's trying to get his score. He looks outside. He sees her riding her bike down the street, and he's like, "Oh, it's his big high school crush." Which I had to stop, and I had to. I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot Jessica Alba is in this."
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, that
I want to say this was like one of her first like big roles in a movie too.
I think so. And she accidentally drops a journal of hers as she's riding by. Penub and Mick are like, "Yeah, go talk to her." And he's like, and he goes. Now at this point,
they were nice enough to give him a pair of pants.
They were nice enough, yeah, because at this point he's just in his underwear. Because remember, he's a slacker. He doesn't have time for pants.
Yeah, he walked across the street in a t-shirt and his boxers and pink slippers.
A bold choice.
Right?
So at this point, I'm like, all right, well, this is his love interest, and I remember being in high school. I'm sure that there were ladies that I pined after, saw from a distance.
Yeah.
And, that's normal, and Anton is like that until he goes and grabs the journal that she drops and sniffs it. Then I was like, all right.
Weird.
That's a little step too far, but he sniffs it and he goes up to her door to go return it. She, to his dismay, answers and then he books it. Don't blame him. If my crush answered the door, I would have ran too, especially if it was Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
All right. As part of my New Year's resolution, I'm going to pull back a little bit. Dave, go ahead and take over the story.
This is when he goes back home and he tries what Penub tells him to smoke oregano with nutmeg.
Yeah, because at this point, he still hasn't gotten his stash yet.
Yeah.
And he's like jonesing.
Yeah, so he does that.
does something.
Yeah, and this is kind of when he realized doesn't really have control of his hand.
Yeah,
So,
it's weird. Like his hand
yeah.
is doing stuff.
And also, he discovers the body of his parents.
Yes, at this point, maybe it's because he needed to. Well, because he's a stoner, so maybe he needed to kind of. Maybe he was still high when he came downstairs. Maybe he needed to sober up or
Or
something.
could be. Like, his parents were put in, like, their life size jack-o'-lanterns they had for Halloween decorations.
Clever.
Yeah, good hiding spot for a body. And also, at this moment, Panub and Mick happen to come over to the house.
Yeah.
And this leads to a bunch of terrible things. And this is kind of where Anton figures out he's been the one killing everybody.
This whole scene between him like chasing his friends, because he's proceeding
Yeah.
to chase his friend. Well, he's not chasing his friend. His possessed hand is like super strong. So it's like you would think that he would just be like, just overpower his hand, but I guess it has like super strength because
yeah, he has no control over it.
it's like pulling
like-
him places.
Yeah, where he's like trying to convince his friends he's not going to kill him, but his hand's trying to kill him.
I thought that whole scene was funny.
Yeah, he stabs Mick in the head with a beer bottle. Classic.
Hmm. And so now there's just this big beer bottle sticking out of his head, and he's dead.
And then
Panub.
Panub goes down to the basement trying to escape him. And while Anton's trying to like talk to him and stuff, his hand grabs a saw blade and throws it at Panub.
Chops his head off.
Decapitation.
And so now he's killed both his parents. He realizes that he inadvertently killed both of his parents and now both of his best friends. And I gotta tell you, he's taking it pretty well.
Yeah.
Extremely well.
He's not too distraught.
Like when he first discovers his parents, he seemed more like he was very Big Lebowski-ish in his when he discovers like, oh. like I don't know, it just he gave no real emotion to his parents dying, other than he was more shocked at the fact that there was a dead body in the house, not the fact that it was his parents.
Basically, yeah. Because following this, what happens is he ends up at Molly's house.
Well, he's sitting there trying to comprehend what happened, and then his cat comes up to him, and the demon hand grabs it and throws him out the window.
Yeah.
So looking for his cat.
Chases cat, ends up at Molly's house. And the hand seems to like make it more aggressive that he's put moves on her.
Mm-hmm.
They end up making out.
He knocks on the.
Keeps trying to like strangle her while they're like in the makeout session.
I was gonna say, well, she sees something going out on the porch. She opens up the door. Now, when she opens up the door, right?
Yeah.
And she sees Anton like out there. I had to wiki Jessica Alba's age watching this, because when she like opened up the door, I was like, shit. She was 18.
Yeah.
Because I had to be careful. I was about to say that if she was like, because this is a high school stoner comedy,
yeah,
horror movie. And remember, it's a lot of funny stuff, but this is technically a horror.
Yeah.
And but man, she answered that door and that lingerie.
Yeah.
Like the only time anybody ever answers the door like that is in the beginning of pornos. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't have enough cash. You want to? Maybe we can work something out.
Exactly. Good old 90s.
And this movie lied to me. High school was never this easy for a socially awkward person to get a Jessica Alba level. Like this dude has done everything to be like standoffish and weird. And say what you want, but the devil hand is a pretty good wingman. Yeah.
Until it starts trying to kill her.
She thinks that he's being kinky because the demon hand's like grabbing her ass, and making him seem kind of like a assertive, aggressive type.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, but it's juxtaposed with him like trying to hold it back, and she finds that hot. I guess quirky. I call bullshit.
Well, kink. Yeah. So he gets the hell up out of there.
Her parents come home.
Yeah. So now this is when he decides to bury the bodies.
This is another thing I always find, and Idle Hands isn't the only one who does this. But whenever somebody needs to fill a grave, it only takes about like an hour or two to dig a grave, put the body in there, and bury the body. And it only takes, and they're never really like worn out, tired either.
No, see, I'd imagine digging a grave. I've never done it, but I can imagine
It would take a. I've dug a hole,
long. Yeah, I've dug a hole.
and he has to dig a hole for 4 people.
Yeah, I'd imagine that takes some time,
But it was
like a
still
whole night. Yeah,
like the entire night just to dig it,
yeah,
because you want to make sure it's deep enough to put 4 bodies. But no, it took him a couple because it's not even like all the way nighttime yet. Like
No.
it's still it's or just got nighttime.
yeah,
And he's in there saying a eulogy. All of a sudden, he hears the voice of one of his friends saying, "Yo, Anton," and he goes and and he puts his ear to the ground, and it's Penub. No, it's Mike. Or Mick.
Mick. Yeah, yeah. Mick is
They both rise from the grave.
yeah. They're resurrected.
So now we got zombies. Now it's a zombie
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, and this is where I think this is the part where Anton finally decides to cut off his arm.
Well, they knock him out.
Yeah.
I love their relationship in this thing because they just give each other shit all the time and
Yeah.
and just screw with each other. They knock him out. He wakes up the next morning thinking it was all a dream until he goes downstairs and he sees his decapitated friend's body sitting there, like talking with the other guy, Mick, who still has a bottle shoved in his head. So they're just sitting there
Yeah.
talking back, like like nothing happened.
Yeah,
Now, intermittent through all this, we are also introduced to Debbie. Like she scenes of her gets peppered in throughout all the stuff that's going on. It was Debbie, right? Or no, not Debbie. What's her name? Yeah, it's Debbie. Vivica A. Fox, the nun or the one sworn to.
yeah.
Yes.
Debbie LaCure.
Debbie LaCure, played by Vivica Fox, and we get introduced to her. She's traveling throughout the states because I guess the devil only resides in the U.S. And I just thought of that right now. She's visited 5 different places so far, trying to follow up on all these serial killings, wondering what the connection is. Then she takes a marker and draws in it, forms a pentagram.
Yeah,
That's what I thought was fun. I just thought of it now. I was like, oh, so I guess the devil only works within the U.S.
yeah.
So she's on her way
Okay.
to Anton's neighborhood because there have been a string of murders
Yeah,
and nobody knows who it is.
yeah. And then this part where the cops actually stop at Anton's house.
We didn't mention these cops, but there are these 2 cops that went to high school with Anton.
Yeah, they were like seniors when Anton was a freshman. Now that Anton's senior, they're cops now.
And they really don't like Anton or his friends or his stoner friends.
Yeah, these are the kids that kind of got bullied in school and now kind of abuse their power as cops.
the characters from oh no, I was gonna say from A Clockwork Orange, but they weren't picked on. They were gangsters. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, like you could just tell these cops are assholes.
Just
Yeah,
going around harassing people.
Basically, yeah. And so they come to Anton's house about the murders. Which
No,
leads,
no, it's not. It's not about a murders. There was a noise complaint. We skipped Randy. Randy giving advice to Anton. There's this character named Randy who's neighbors with Anton. He's kind of like the bad boy of high school. Or I don't know if he's in college now.
Yeah, he's probably like Penub or Mick's like older brother. Seems like the type of role he has.
He, the big muscle shirt, work on my car kind of guy.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid thinking that he was like a high school bully, but then when I saw him in this one, I was like, he's not. He's an asshole, but but he's not necessarily a bully.
No.
So, but Anton's trying to figure out what he can do to get his hand to stop killing people, and Mick was like, I think I know a guy. He's talking about Randy,
Yeah.
and he chases Randy down to this fast food place. Now, this is also something that was a big thing in the 90s, safari-themed fast food places.
Yeah, you kind of forget about that.
The fact that it's a safari doesn't have anything to do with the story. It was just a very, again, time capsule-y thing, because I distinctly remember in the 90s, like a lot of restaurants or fast food places had like a jungle or safari theme.
Yeah, because like they can't use like Burger King or McDonald's, so this place is called Burger Jungle.
I didn't notice that. I love that.
Yeah.
This is where Randy basically gives the advice that Anton just needs to keep his hands busy.
Yeah.
And that because remember, the idle hands are the devil's playground, is what he says.
Yeah.
So Anton is at his house. He's with his two undead friends, and he's like knitting. He's just trying to keep his hands busy, and he has like the music blasting. I guess he's trying to stay awake as well. Rob Zombie's playing on the music video, which I thought was pretty cool. They're playing Dragula.
Yeah.
This is when the police officers show up because of a noise complaint. The music was too loud, and now there you go, Dave. So now the cops are here.
So the first one he stabs with the knitting needle, right?
Yeah, gets it in the ear.
Yeah, it's still in his hand, so he stabs him in the ear.
And other guy gets a taste of his own taser.
Yeah.
Or of the other guy's taser. So now
he's killed six people.
Well, probably more because there were those strings of murders.
Yeah, at least six people for sure in his house.
Which I don't understand how. So he was doing all these murders, what, in his sleep or something?
Or what? He was like so stoned, he was catatonic. Yeah.
Because we see that he operates independently of his. I gotta point out the criticisms as much as I like it.
Yeah.
But he operates independently of his own hand. So I would think that. I mean, I know that hand is strong, but that hand needs to, like, in order, it's killed a bunch of people.
So is it just like dragging his body along? Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or maybe while he's asleep,
it takes full control of the body.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be.
But this is the point where Anton decides to chop his hand off.
Yeah.
He's tried everything, so he gets a butcher knife and chops his hand off. So yeah, so now, and I gotta say, I've had more of a reaction to stubbing my toe than he's had to chopping off his hand.
Yeah, he made it seem like it didn't hurt all that much.
It felt like it was more. You know how when you're walking by something or you run into something, it doesn't hurt, but just instinctually you go ow.
Yeah.
Like even if it doesn't hurt, or if it's inconvenient, it felt kind of like that. It felt more inconvenienced than anything.
Maybe because it's possessed, you can't feel the pain from it.
Maybe maybe
that's a disbelief here, yeah.
Or I'm not going to read too much into it. Really, I mean, we're talking about some undead stoner friends, evil hand that's going around killing people.
This is where who was it that went to get the first aid kit for him?
So Penub and Mick go to get a first aid kit because his antiseptic because his hand is or it's all jacked up. But then while they're gone, Anton looks up and he sees a message written in blood saying you shouldn't have done that or something like that.
Yeah, it's writing down messages for him now. Yeah,
the hand's been writing messages like all over the place.
Yeah,
including his parents' room. It said like I'm under the bed. They thought it was Anton messing around, which I guess technically they were right.
Yeah.
So they're off to do that. So while they're gone, is this where he chucks it in? The hand basically attacks him.
And then he chucks it in the microwave.
Chucks it in the microwave and turns it on.
Yeah.
There are a lot of pretty decent effects for 1999, I think, in this movie.
Yeah.
There's some practical effects. There are other ones that are just like, it's dated, but like the nice little practical effect. You see this hand, which I'm sure is an animatronic thing in there, and then you see blood kind of going, like spurting and stuff like that. So Anton's like, okay, cool. Killed the hand thing. Now, also, at this point, when he had met up with Jessica Alba the day before, because this is the next day by the way, because when he got knocked out by Penub, he woke up the next morning.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're missing something because it's daytime. It would have been daytime when that happened, right?
Yeah.
No, Molly comes over. Molly comes over because there's a dance going on.
Yeah. And this is kind of where they agreed to go together to the dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she shows up. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something between them going to get the antiseptic.
Yeah. He throws it in the microwave, and then I don't know where he goes from there, but Penub and Mick are the ones who release a hand from the microwave.
Yeah, they needed the microwave to cook up some burritos.
Yeah.
So the hand leaves, or the hand like jettisons out, and Anton comes back, and he sees the hand gone. At this point, I believe he sees another message written by the hand that says, "She's mine."
Yeah.
So now the hand is on the loose. We know that it's for Molly.
Yeah. I don't know how Hannah would figure to go to the school dance, but okay.
Oh, I'm sure it has his memories.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. I think he went to talk to Molly, and then while that was going on, the hand went off, and then he said he had to go back.
Yeah.
He said he had to go back home, and that's when he noticed the hand gone, the message, blah blah blah. So now Molly's on her. Yeah.
To the dance.
So now the dance. At this point, Vivica Fox is now in town searching for the hand. She runs into Randy just per chance, at a bowling alley, I think it was.
And Randy's the one who puts her on Anton's tracks.
Yeah, she's like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a part of a secret organization to defeat evil," and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Well, my other friend Anton was saying something about his hand doing stuff that he didn't want it to do." Yeah. So now those two are basically teamed up.
Yeah, and when that happens, the three of them steal Randy's truck.
Penub, Anton, and Mick to go to the dance.
To the dance, yeah.
So they are going to the dance, which I don't remember who the band is, but just it's again very 90s. The school dance has a band, and the band is the band that sings 24 hours ago. I want to be sedated, which that is also makes me feel very 90s too. Just, like, it makes me feel warm inside this movie. This is all despite all of its flaws. At this point, Jessica Alba is dancing at the dance with her friend. She's bummed out because Anton. Yeah, she's known Anton she's known Anton through one makeout session and one awkward thing on her porch, and she's acting like this is her long lost love. Yeah. Well, she's like so bummed out. Like, I thought he'd be here, and I'm just freaking like, God, man, you lucky bastard. Like, oh yeah.
And when the three get to the dance, is kind of when Debbie finds them. And this is when Debbie explains to Anton why his hand got possessed and what it's going to do. Basically, at the time, it's going to drag Molly's soul into hell with it.
Yeah, now we get these arbitrary rules. Like, that now we have a ticking clock now.
Yeah.
So his thing is that he was going to, the hand was planning on sacrificing Molly.
Yeah. At midnight,
Yes, at midnight, which... Why midnight? Because it's a movie. Like, I want to criticize all this stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? We're already this ridiculous. Might as well. You know what I mean?
So this is where the group splits up.
Mm-hmm.
Anton sends Penub and Mick to go find Molly while he hunts down the hand.
Molly's friend, by the way, who apparently has the hots for Penub.
Yeah, thinks they're in costumes because
it's a Halloween party.
Yeah, lucky for them, because Mick has a giant bottle sticking out his head, and Penub's head's barely on, but
I liked the look of that bottle in Mick's
great
head.
Effect, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the most standout things about this movie that you remember for a long time is how the bottle looks sticking out of Mick's head.
Yeah, again, I'm a sucker for a nice little, that was just some nice prosthetic work.
Yeah.
Which I always appreciate.
Yeah. So,
Vivica 90s, Fox, gives the...
School dance. Yeah, Vivica Fox, Anton chasing down his hand.
Yeah, and Anton jumps on the stage, I think, at this point, because we know that the hand is somewhere in the building. We get a scene of him killing who I believe is the principal.
Yeah,
who's like on a sex hotline. With back in the I don't know if they have them now anymore. Back in the day, where you had to
call
up
phone sex.
Call up to have phone sex.
10 minutes, $10 a minute or something like that.
And they had advertisements on TV. Call this number and talk to a hot
if you fell asleep with Comedy Central on in the 90s, early 2000s, did you wake up at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, those girls gone wild.
They have commercials for these too. So
no more. Now it's just so easily available.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Anton jumps up on the hand's gone around, is killing people, or it's already killed 2 people in the parking lot and the principal, and now, which I thought was a really cool look too, it has its fingers in a pencil sharpener, an electrical pencil sharpener, and it's sharpening its fingers into sharp things. I thought that looked cool.
Yeah, I actually did enjoy that scene. Like, okay, it's making itself more deadly.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't think that ever. Oh no, it does. So Anton, at this point, after getting the lowdown from Debbie, Vivica Fox's character,
Yeah.
he jumps on stage and he basically is saying, "Everybody, you're all in danger. Killers on the loose." Blah blah blah. And of course, like in any movie like this, they don't believe him.
Yeah, they're just like,
Oh, that crazy dude.
good Halloween prank. Let's go back to dancing.
Oh, that's Stoner Anton.
Yeah, that Anton.
So the band, the lead singer of the band is like, "Hey kid, get out of here," and blah blah blah. All right, let's get back to the music. Like 1, 2, 3, and then at that point, the hand falls down from the rafters
And scalps the lead singer.
which a good effect again.
Great effect, yeah.
Scalp the dude's head right there.
I mean, this movie did have a decent budget for 1999.
What was the budget?
I want to say it was north of 20 million. I might have to look it up real quick.
Well, you know what? Yeah.
25 million.
How much did it make back?
In box office, it made 4.2 million. So
Oh, so it didn't even make its money back.
no.
Oh, so this was a big flop back in the 90s, which is fun. Well, much like how most because I'd say this has a cult following. I've met plenty of people who say they really like Idle Hands.
Yeah, in the horror community, this is definitely a cult movie. So, like a lot of cult movies,
Often flopped.
in theaters they don't do too well, and then as they go into like 1999, it went to VHS and DVD.
This is one of those movies
getting popularity because people would have got it from like Blockbuster.
I guess this is the kind of movie that would have made money more for royalties and the like VHS rentals more so than the box office.
Exactly, yeah.
So now it's complete pandemonium. Lead singer dude just got scalped.
Yeah.
Everyone's running around all over the place. Anton is trying to get to the hand. So is Debbie. Molly and her friend are trying to run away, and they
go through an air vent.
A comically large, like if you they're like crawling on all fours, but legit, it looks like you could crouch in there.
Yeah.
Like I don't. What is this? And they're going through the air vents that contain these saw-like spinning blades.
Like, when I say these fans are massive, like these are like fans, so like cool off. I don't.
Well, this is the kind of. Well, this is the kind. Oh, well, thinking about it now, this is the kind of high school that was also like a technical vocation kind of school that probably had like automotive place and stuff that maybe needed airing out.
Well, I mean, high schools in the 90s, like a lot of them did have like garages, and they did teach like shop classes and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Molly and her friend get to the fan. Molly drops through it and tells her friend, "Come on, come on."
They jam it with one of her heels.
Yeah. And of course, her friend's like, I don't think I can. And then when she tries, the hand moves the shoe, and she gets cut to pieces.
She gets cut to pieces because it wrapped a bungee cord around her neck.
Yeah.
How it got it in there, I don't know. But and shoves her down. But this devil hand has a lot of power for something that's just a one hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
Basically, it kills her, chops her up, and Molly's like freaked out.
Yeah, she just watched her friend get over it.
So now we've reached the big climax bit here. Throughout the night when that was going on, Anton has been playing cat and mouse with the hand as well.
The hand gets Debbie and somehow ties her down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the stuff is kind of off screen, and some other stuff it's kind of cut a little weird in the end. I would say that the last 15 minutes is probably the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of weird cuts, and the whole explanation of they have to do it until midnight just kind of gets thrown in there last minute.
Yeah. And this hand, I mean, the hand that's just like murdering people. For some reason, Molly comes up with this elaborate, overcomplicated way of killing her.
So the hand's whole purpose is that he needs to kill or needs to sacrifice Molly. Why it has to be specifically Molly, I don't know. And at midnight, why midnight? I don't know. So there was no real ritual. It just was like it needs to kill Molly. It somehow ties her to the top. It's like the scene is there, like basically in the automotive repair section
Yeah.
of the school, and so they're in a garage basically,
Yeah.
and she is tied to the top of a car. There's a pentagram drawn on the ceiling, and it's going to slowly, like it's on a rise, slowly.
Rise up and crush her against the pentagram.
Why?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why? Why does this hand that's just been like
Killing
killing
people
any way it can
left and right.
go like this one? This one's my masterpiece. Let me make this way overcomplicated.
This is my magnum opus.
Yeah,
And it's a slow moving rise too.
like it's rising for like 5 minutes.
While it's doing that, Anton is trying to grab it. Everybody's trying to overpower it. At this point, for some reason, it's in a Muppet looking kind of sock puppet thing. I think they were in the arts and crafts place at one point and it got into it. So now it's just this weird looking like hand in a puppet thing. It's goofy.
Yeah, and then they got this. What was it? A knife from Vivica A. Fox to kill it with.
Yeah, there's a special dagger it has to be killed
Yeah.
with. And the way that they overpower this thing that's basically in this puppet thing is what you know at the automotive class is also filled with stoners because their projects are all kind of like laid out in the classroom type area, and one of them made this gigantic metallic bong type thing.
Yeah.
And remember, Anton has that little thing around his neck.
Yeah.
Has that his little weed asthma thing around his neck. He takes a giant inhale thing out, or no, he takes the weed out of that, puts it in the bong,
Yeah.
and then takes a big huff of that and blows it into the hand thing. It's trapped in that little puppet hand thing, so the devil gets thwarted by getting high.
When did he get weed though?
I think Mick gave it to him.
Because that was like a major part of the beginning. He
There
couldn't
was
find weed. Yeah.
There was a point where you see that it's because before when the hand got loose, Anton wanted to go after it, but Mick was like, "Look, man, just sit down and have a little Anton time. You that hand's not your problem
Oh
anymore."
yeah, I forgot about that scene. Yeah.
And then he gives him some weed and puts it in his little asthma inhaler thing, so he has some weed on him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that scene.
There's a reason for you can't complain about its continuity. It was explained. So now it's the evil hand is high. They save Jessica Alba. The hand jumps up for one final jump scare, and Vivica Fox jumps in, throws the dagger in midair. It stabs the hand, but also kind of like stabs Mick in the process, but it didn't really do anything to Mick. It was just, he's dead already. So now the last 5 minutes. So, and Jessica Alba, she's already wearing a skimpy angel outfit,
costume,
and it just kept every scene. Her clothes just kind of got less and less. Because at the very end, she's just basically in her bra and panties.
Yeah, like when the hand tied her down, basically took her clothes.
Because they keep her almost half naked all the time in this movie, so I'm wondering if they specifically waited for her to be 18. Because and then the second she did, then they're like, all right, let's get into all these scenes. I don't know, because I don't think she's ever like really totally fully clothed anytime we ever see her.
No.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, as a guy, I'm not saying I'm complaining, but
no. But yeah, she's in a lot of skimpy outfits. But Anton, when he saves her from the top of the car, for some reason he decides they get off the car and he goes underneath it.
They were both standing underneath it, and Panub's dumbass, because he's they're all goofy stoners. He accidentally knocks into the lever that rises and lowers the
car
and crushes Anton.
Yeah,
which that thing was going 0.004 like miles an hour slow when it was rising up, but it just drops the car.
Yeah, what goes up must come down.
But
gravity takes it down quick.
But this is a goofy 90s horror comedy. Getting crushed from a falling car doesn't kill people.
Well, he dies. He just does the same thing that Panub and Mick did.
Yeah, they didn't go to heaven. They could have gone to heaven, but they were like, "Oh man, that seems lame." They,
Yeah, he just doesn't go into the light, so he wakes up in the hospital.
with Jessica
With
Alba by his side,
yeah, and every single one of his bones were broken.
completely in a full body cast.
Yeah, and then well, after they crush Anton's when Mick and Padub finally go to the afterlife and become his guardian angels.
Uh, but not without doing one last little prank.
Yeah,
But they wrote a little message on Anton's wall, much like how the Devil Hand did. It said, "I'm under the bed," and Anton freaks out, is screaming, and that's basically how it ends with a
yeah,
prank. And that's Idle Hands. And now we've already kind of said how we felt about it.
yeah,
At the end of it, I liked it though. I yes, the humor is very hit or miss.
yeah.
If you're not into stoner comedy or movies like Euro Trip or American Pie or what's what's some other movies of that era that was like had
There's like
comedy like that?
How High,
How High?
Half Baked.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And I can enjoy it for the nostalgia of it. And
Yeah,
there are stuff right now, like I don't think, well, this wouldn't be widely received nowadays because in the 90s, people were very liberal with words,
yeah,
not it wasn't as sensitive, I guess I would say, as it is
yeah,
now. They drop, now I'm just quoting from the movie here. I'm not saying this, but they say like the words like faggot and queer.
yeah,
I mean, they basically have him damn near like, like the devil hand is like grabbing on Jessica Alba and she's like kind of into it and stuff like that.
yeah.
I don't think that would have probably been well received nowadays. Like,
No.
but I mean, little things like that, it was just I can enjoy it knowing for what it was at the time,
Yeah, understanding the time.
if you can understand that's, that'll be for a discussion for another, different podcast, but I can enjoy movies like that just knowing, yeah, it was no offense meant at the time. It was just kind of how people talked.
It's kind of how the culture was back then.
Yeah.
Things change, we evolve. Yeah. So I don't have a
But
problem with that. Yeah.
but yeah, I can't deny that there were a lot of te- I mean, there's like a scene where Anton's walking down the alleyway. This is where we first get introduced to the cops, and it's supposed to be foggy outside, and you can pretty much look in the background and see the fog machine like just
Yeah.
um, spurting out like, and then immediately right after, like once he gets
Yeah.
confronted, like all the fog goes away.
Yeah.
I mean, little things like that, and like I said in the beginning, where the mother is like looking up but saying she hears something downstairs.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that kind of adds up. But I mean, if you just go into it knowing that it's going to be a goofy stoner horror comedy
Yeah.
taking place in the 90s, and shut your brain off. It's like an hour and like 20 minutes,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that, about an hour and 20 minutes. But go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this basically movie does encapsulate like that end of the 90s, early 2000s essence of like movies
Hmm.
that focus on like the teen high school movies from that
Yeah.
time.
That was just a big thing, and then everything took place. You were like a high school senior, getting ready to go to college.
It was in every genre of movie back then too, because you had like Varsity Blues, not
Hmm.
another teen movie,
Hmm.
which spoofed it. Yeah, so it wasn't just in horror in general; it was
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
movies then.
But I mean, I kind of like that though. I like
Yeah,
that era of movie. It's I don't know. I like seeing trends, I guess, as well.
yeah,
And like the '90s was very much that,
like
rise of the stoner comedies,
yeah.
and
And
I
I
think,
mean, I think every generation does have that. Because like you and me, our like high school movie was probably like super bad.
yes, that was
That
my.
encapsulate our high school type deal.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was like the, much like how back in the day, probably Animal House was a lot of people's like big raunch, like, movie for the teenage crowd.
yeah,
Superbad was, without a doubt, my first, like, oh, this was like encapsulated of what it meant to be like kind of like a teenager, but who was
during our time. Yeah,
like 15, 16. I had to
yeah.
go sneak in to go see that.
My friend had it on DVD and we watched it that way.
We
Yeah,
snuck in the theater and on opening day, and There were ushers walking up and down the thing with flashlights because they probably knew that a crap ton of people were going to have to get escorted out.
It was rated R, but the movie was mainly watched by teenagers.
Yeah, this
when it
was
came
like
out.
an event when this movie came out.
Yeah.
This was like The Dark Knight when it came out. Everybody flocked to go see this.
Yeah.
Mostly just teens and college kids.
Yeah.
But anyway, that'll be a whole. We ought to do a whole episode about movie theater stories.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
But anyway, back to Idle Hands. So, all right, why don't we go into kills of the movie? At least this movie had some good kills.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to stick with Mick getting stabbed in the head with a beer bottle.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the kill was nice, and just the afterwards effect of it throughout the movie was awesome.
My kill. I always liked this. I always thought it was funny. It was one of those scenes that always sticks in my head and pops up every so often. I'm gonna say the death of the actual demon hand,
Okay.
because she throws the dagger, it stabs him, and then it just kind of just goes poop, poop, and even Mick was like, "That's it." He's like, "I thought I was gonna like burning like screams of hell, but man, that was lame."
Yeah.
Or that was weak. I think he said that was weak.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a funny scene. So I'm going to say the death of the demon hand.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we have to do ratings.
Ratings.
All right.
I'm gonna give this a 15.
15.
Yeah.
All right, so to me this isn't a poor movie. At the highest, this movie is, in terms of quality, definitely in the middle range,
Yeah.
average in terms of quality.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be above a 20.
No.
But my enjoyment of it, I enjoyed being brought back. I can enjoy the comedy. I can enjoy the comedy bits, even some of the cringe. So I'm going to give this one an 18, actually.
Okay.
I'm going to give this one an 18. So I guess rounded, this would probably be about a 16.5.
Yeah. Because there's parts I enjoyed, other parts I was just like, eh. That's why I put the 5 for the enjoyment, but yeah.
I usually, I think I rated My Bloody Valentine a 15, because at the end of the day, it was pretty much a run-of-the-mill slasher.
Yeah.
So to me, 15 has to kind of be like a basic run-of-the-mill kind of movie, which this is most definitely a run-of-the-mill stoner comedy, but with some horror thrown into it.
Yeah.
So it gets a couple points for some couple of decent kills, and I like some of the prosthetics and some of the jokes.
The prosthetics were good, yeah.
And when the jokes hit, they did make me chuckle.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever got any real belly laughs out of it. It was always chuckles.
Yeah.
Well, that's another movie down.
All right.
Hey, and I got the list up right now because we have to determine what is going to be our next movie review.
I really hope I'll always know what you did last summer, because I know that movie's gonna piss you off. You're gonna be so mad watching it.
We've already done 2 out of my 3 picks.
Right, none of my picks have been selected yet.
So we're gonna go ahead and give it a spin and see what we're reviewing next. No bullshit. I'll always know what you did last summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Even
though I'm gonna hate watching this movie because it fucking sucks.
Now I haven't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer in a while.
It has nothing to do with the first 2 movies.
I was about to say, do I have to watch the original first?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So yes, I always knew. Is it I always knew?
I'll always know what you did last summer.
I'll always know what you did last summer. Finally, Dave's pick comes out because we did House of the Dead, Idle Hands, and now finally he gets up in here.
And when I say this is like a movie, I think it came out in like 2003, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
But it's filmed like a 90s movie, early 2000s movie.
I guess I'll know what you're talking about when I see it.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's all around bad.
So
worse than Venom type bad.
That's some bold words.
Yeah.
Well, remember, now my new number 1 is Hanukkah. So
it's down there with that.
So this might be my this might be, I don't know. You might feel
it's been a couple weird. it's been a couple years since I watched it, but
The pain is still there.
yeah, he'll be lucky to get like a 4.
That would be generous.
Yeah, I think so. But
Well,
we'll see.
spoiler alert, Dave already knows what he's going to rate it.
I do not know. I'm afraid it'd be
So
lucky
maybe
to get that high,
my
yeah.
goal is to convince him to bump that number up. So
You're not gonna want to convince me.
but I've been having fun this season so far.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of bad. Well, we haven't. Well, no, I think the worst one we've seen so far is for this season is House of the Dead.
Yeah, that's a bad movie.
That has set the bar. Idle Hands was at a 40, I think,
Like-
last time I
like-
looked at Rotten Tomatoes. But
Yeah,
I'd say it's at least about a 55 if you were to combine our scores. So
yeah. I mean,
just a little bit above average, but
Yeah.
legit the audience score is the score is kind of right.
Yeah.
But I just give it extra 10 points.
yeah.
But thank you to everyone who has been joining us. I'm not entirely sure which episode this one's coming out at, so I don't know if we're closer to another giveaway or if this is coming out shortly after the last one, but congratulations to whoever won the last giveaway. Thank you to our and to all of our upcoming guests, ones that we haven't gotten on yet, but we are in the middle of planning with.
Yeah, we got a lot of fun things coming up this season, so you guys stay tuned.
I've been Chris Thomas, and with me, Broke Rider Dave.
Have a good week, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.